In this video right here, I'm going to show you how you can take a colorful summer photo and turn it into a beautiful, moody masterpiece by just sliding a few sliders in Lightroom. Now, spoiler alert, we're going to use a bunch of techniques that you might not know about, so sit back, relax, maybe grab something to drink, buckle up if you're in the car because you need to be safe, and let's jump into Lightroom. All right, so welcome to Lightroom. This is the photo that we are going to work with today, and my hope is at least that by the end of this tutorial, we manage to take it from this to this with just some easy to follow along step-by-step instructions by yours truly. Anyhow, so the first thing that I would like to do is to go on the crop and find a good crop. Let's just do 4x5 and in Instagram. Now I want to have this kind of in the middle, so we can use this here and do something here. Now what would be really cool, because I like the wide frame here, is that maybe do it like this and then in Photoshop make this bigger, but we're not doing any Photoshop here. And plus some of you will get a little bit angry saying like, did you use AI to make it bigger? Sometimes I do. We click it like this, and I think this is like good enough. Now I'm not a huge fan of the foliage here, but we're going to darken the background later on. But I think this frame, I mean, it's not bad. Next up is I like to press auto. I already done that, and it opened up the photo and made it a little bit little bit less gray like it was. I think this is okay. Now we want to create a moody photo, and by doing that we want to darken it, and I want to make it like inject a lot of blue into it and just get that cold, moody feeling. Now this is in the middle of the summer, but it was quite rainy, and I was able to make it a lot more moody than it actually was by just some simple editing technique that I'm gonna reveal to you guys. So the first thing, let's drop down the highlights a little bit more, down with the shadows ever so slightly. I think that is pretty good, and I think this is a good starting point. Now I want to desaturate it. I just want to do it straight off the bat, and we can like start something like this. Now the first thing that we'll do, let's start with the tone curve. It's really late here, so I'm sorry if you hear me stumble a little bit. That's just how it is. Now look, we want to do a whole, like I want to darken this up quite a lot. So start by just dragging down here and then up here. And my friends, I'm just assuming that you know what the tone curve is. If not, I do have tutorials that explain it in detail. Take it up a little bit like this. I want to do a little fade. It's cool, but I do want to have more dark to them. So something along these lines I think is good to start with. Now here is actually another place where you could do a little bit more contrast if you do want to. And I sometimes even do that just to play a little bit more with it. So then I have both of these working. Maybe not so much shadows, but something along of these lines I think is starting to look pretty nice. Like I am fairly happy with this. It's not bad. Not bad. Now next we have the colors. Now when it comes to creating like these moody colors, there is a lot of things happening in of course, the foliage of the greens. So there, and the blue areas. But we don't have a lot of blue right now, but we're going to inject that. But the greens, we have a whole lot of them here. And then we have also in the yellows. And by the way, I'm in this mixer tab here. By default, it's set on point color, but I may be getting a little bit old. So I like the mixer, and I have it on HSL. You can have it color too, so you see the other colors. Personally, I just like to have it HSL and see all of them sliders like this. Now, I would probably like to make this a little bit greener, but bear with me, because we're going to put so much blue in the shadows. It's going to be a little bit too blue if you do it like this, but this could be changed later. So I'm going to drop this down to like -30. We're going to drop the yellow. We can take the yellows up just to 10. There isn't a lot of orange in it, so we can just take here. And the blue, there is a little bit blue just on this here, so we can take that down by a tiny bit. And I don't think there is a lot of purple or magenta. Now, this saturation, this is, my friends, where we're going to desaturate the whole lot. So let's desaturate the greens by 50. Start by that. We can desaturate the yellows by probably 40. Let's see. Or maybe -30 to start with. We can desaturate the little bit of blue that we have there, a little bit of the aqua. We can bring up the orange just ever so slightly and bring up the red ever so slightly. And then with the luminance, let me see, I think it could be cool to get a little bit up the yellow, the green, let's take it down just ever so slightly. I would like to take up the blue just because we had a little blue on the little, this is a little, what do you call it? Skytrain. Little Skytrain. But next, this is where tons of the magic happened. Now, by the way, one thing that I like always do, we'll do it before we do the color grading, because one thing that I always do before I do all of this, and I preach a lot to do that, is actually to do the mask. But anyhow, before we do the color grading, let's do the masking. So for the masking on this, I would like to darken this area and then brighten up this area, but enhance the mist. So not just brightening. So we do the, click the mask. Let's go with a linear gradient. Start with this, just like so. We're gonna create a few of them, but press H, I can see the mask, and then you press O, you can see this where the mask is affecting. So I think this could be just like a nice little start. And what I'm gonna do then is actually, I need to grab the mask like here, is just to start with the darken here. And it's gonna create a few of these. So I like to combination with just down the exposure and up with the contrast. I think is a nice little touch. We can make another gradient filter like this. And here, I would actually like to just take down the dehaze a little bit and down with the clarity to soften up this here. Then I would actually like to do a brush like this, and we're gonna brush this area. Oops, I see that I have a auto mask on, so I don't wanna have that. Brush this area, and I like to have the feather all the way out. And just brush this area ever so slightly. And yes, you guessed it correctly. We're gonna take down the exposure, not too much, just a little bit. And honestly, when it comes to masks and how I use masks, it's just these subtle changes on a bunch of different masks that when they all add up, they become really, really cool. So my goal here is to make this more three-dimensional. And then I'm gonna go a radiant filter like this in the middle on the card. I have it all the way feathered out almost. So if you press H, you can see, we can maybe have it down to 90 like this. And here, I just wanna open up the exposure just a tiny bit, maybe up with the shadows to the whites, and then take the contrast up by ever so slightly too. So this is really, really, really cool. Now, next up, I would like to do we can select background like this. So this is just selecting everything except this, but I wanna right click, do intersect and intersect with gradient. I'm gonna do two of these. So first one is gonna be here. And this I like to do instead of doing just the gradient, because now we're not affecting the subject, which is really cool. So we can darken up the background, but the subject here is not gonna be affected, which is like you can see here, and that this is what would happen. But if you just do it a tiny, tiny bit like this, we make sure that the subject stays visible, which is nice. That was a little bit lame. Sorry about that. Don't leave because I mimicked Borat. When we click here again and we do another one like this, select background, and now right click, intersect with linear gradient, and now we do one down like this here. So they meet each other like this. And then I would like to make this one down with dehaze and brighten this up. So, and down with the clarity, and we can even take up this. So I'm just adding this misty effect and making it like much better. And now just with this few masks, the difference is pretty stark. It went from, you can see here, it went from, can't I show before and after? What's happening now? So the difference is went from this, pretty flat, really nice though, to this, and we're just giving a little bit more here. Now I do think that this mask was a little bit too heavy. We see it a little bit too much. So let's take it down like this, and I'm probably gonna add one more linear gradient from the bottom, from something like this here, and probably here. And yeah, this is a good start to begin with. Now, one thing that I see right away that is bugging me a little bit is this foliage here. So just press this one. You don't have to have the visual spots on. The remove tool here, I have it set to the content aware fill is now available. So we just do it like this. Like this, doesn't have to be perfect, and it's already gone. Looks good. I would probably do this here in the Photoshop too, and but for now, this is nice. Now, what we do now then is honestly where a lot of the magic happens when it comes to just my type of grading and moody grading in general, and that is the color grading tab. But before we do that, I want to show you guys my brand new preset pack. This is like over 28 different presets that are really good, in my opinion. I made it myself, I know, but this is like the labor of work for the last years. I haven't put out that preset pack for so long and just gathered some of my favorites and made a pack out of it. Now, in my opinion, I know that I'm not biased because I'm the creator of this. I think this is really neatly organized in a way that I think is really cool. So what I have here, I have a few different creative presets. My thinking behind these is that these are more like this stylized look that can change the image a little bit more. Might be sometimes a hit and miss, but all honesty, many of them look really sick, especially like this photo. The rainy streets, and it looks good right off the bat. Then I have these foundational presets. My thinking with these foundational presets is that these are more a base tone. They ensure that I get like just a tone that I like, and then I work out of that tone. And then I have a few portrait presets and even a few seasonal presets for summer, autumn, and winter too. And then what's really cool is that I have these overlays, and these is just speeds up my work process tremendously. These are a few different masks that I use all of the time, and I can now just, if for instance with this photo here, if I want to darken the corners, I just have to click darken the corners preset, and boom, we've already done that. The cool thing is that you can then change the intensity too. So look, we can do this right here. And actually, we're gonna continue this photo, and I just want to add this preset right down here because I think this looks really, really sick. Now in the description, my friend, you can find a link that takes you to this preset pack. If you decide to buy it, know that you're not only getting the same tones as I use and a preset that I'm personally really happy with and use all the time, but you're also supporting a ginger guy from Iceland, which brings good luck. And who doesn't want more luck? Anywho, I don't know what I'm saying. Anywho, thank you so much for your support. It really means the world to me. Now, the next thing that we are gonna do is the color grading. Now, the color grading, I want to do the shadows, and I want to push a lot of blue in the shadows. Now, I just know from experience that I like 250 a whole lot, and I'm gonna take it quite a lot up, somewhere around here, I think is good. Then the midtones, I also want to have that just blue. We can have that maybe 220. Let's see how that looks, and let's put this in 12. So we're adding blue in the midtones too. You can see it up here. And then the highlights, let's have 215. And then let's do maybe 16. So already we've made this photo a lot bluer. Now, one thing that I do want to do here is that I actually know that this was a little bit too warm. So let's just take down the white balance to 400. And this is starting to look good. This is maybe a little bit too much, 5,600. And this is starting to look good. Now we've lost a little bit of contrast, or we can actually do more contrast. So let's just add up the contrast. I think that when it comes to these, at least in my opinion, these moody shots, I like them quite punchy and contrasty. So I think this is a nice start from here. Now to compensate for the a lot of blue that we pushed in everywhere, then I do want to take down the exposure. You can just see, if you take all the up here, you can see how we still have a lot of blues in the fog. I want the fog to be a little bit more misty. So let's just desaturate that quite a lot to maybe 60. And then here also, we have a lot of colors in the aqua. I want to desaturate that too. And I think that is a lot where the magic comes. Now, talking about aqua, I think we can go back here and you can see that we've taken it up. It becomes a little bit colder. We take it down. It becomes a little bit warmer. Let's just take it down somewhere around these lines. I mean, the before and after here is pretty stark. We did not start with a photo that looked like this. But let's see if, now I would like to see, okay, can we make it, I think actually that if we take off the greens a little bit and that we get a little bit cool photo here. And you know what? I actually want to get more contrast in this. So we go back here. Wow, here is starting to look really sick in my opinion. Now next, this is starting to look super good. Now then it's just that comes the question, do I want more blue or not? You can see that we might actually want that, or we might not want that. It's just if we want or not, that comes down to preference. The denoise, I usually press that, and this AI denoise is so good, but we don't have to do it for this photo. Remove chromatic aberration, I usually like to do. And then of course we can have the enable profile correction too. Now in the effects tab, let's just add a tiny vignette like this all over the place, maybe to -9. Let's feather it out a little bit and then let the highlights a little bit in, and then let's add some grain. 45 I think is pretty cool. And then here, the calibration is usually where a lot of my magic happened. I usually touch it before the HL slider, but for this photo, I didn't want to because I wanted to see afterwards what we can do. So if we take up the greens, they become a little bit more to the blue primary. Take down the blues. I think that could be a little bit cool. You can see here this becomes like a little bit more autumn feeling, but let's take it down this tiny bit. And the reds, I think it could be cool if you take it up just ever so slightly. And then with the colors, I think it's actually nice if you just desaturate all the colors just a little bit. Desaturate, and with the greens, desaturate them like this. And this is starting to look really cool. And what we'll do now is to get a little bit more glow to it. So what we can do is to just add a dreamy glow effect from my preset pack here. This is a little bit too much. So what I would do, we take down the amount like this, and to get a little bit more oomph in it, because this softens up all the highlights, is to add one more radial filter in the middle, like so here, just like this. And then we're gonna actually add up the clarity here to get a little bit of that pop oomph there in it, and we can make it a little bit bigger. And this is good. Now, what I would do now is just to go over everything and see if there are some changes that I want to make, and do some last bits of edits to it. Maybe we went too far somewhere. Maybe we wanted too little. Maybe we want to darken up here. All of these little subtle changes are going to make a huge difference in the end. We can take it up a little bit more color or down with the colors. And like the difference that we made from the starting of the photo to this is absolutely huge. Anyhow, since I know that you also want to take your photos to the very next level, then next you need to watch this video right here, where I show you guys 10 editing secrets that you might not know about that the professionals use all the time.